There's an abandoned house down the road. We found a pit in the basement. Come on, do it, Aaron yelled, shooing me closer to the old porch steps. Go in. Don't be a wuss. They won't. They're too much of a bitch, Danielle said from behind him. Her arms were crossed and she was giving me the look that said she was right and I wasn't. Not by myself, I won't, I replied. This place was old as hell. No way I was going in alone, whether it was haunted or not. If I'm getting asbestos exposure, so are one of you. This place has asbestos? Aaron asked, confused. Danielle just sighed, rolling her eyes at her idiot brother. This place hasn't had a living soul in 50 years. They can't sell the damn thing and nobody wants to tear it down, she said. I was still hesitating on the steps, staring up at the rickety two-story. One of the upper windows was busted and it looked like a wooden step to the porch would crack under the weight of a leaf, much less if we tried to climb it. This place was a safety violation more than it was a home. Kind of hard to sell a house after a group suicide happened in it, I muttered, seeing the front door was slightly open. A cold breeze blew by, cutting the still October air with chill. This place has a bad history behind it, going back almost a century at this point. Everyone's been saying it's haunted, and it's usually one of those rites of passage for kids on Halloween to walk through the door and prove their courage. They say if you go in the basement you can see the blood stains, Aaron said, sounding far too excited about the prospect. Then you go in. Danielle nudged him further. He just shrugged, stepping up to the stairs beside me. I'll go down to the basement if you go, too, he said, looking over to me with his eyebrows raised. I had to hesitate a moment before finally sighing, putting a foot on the first step. How are there blood stains? Didn't they do the Jonestown thing? I asked, looking over at him as we walked up the steps carefully. They creaked hard, and I could briefly feel the boards bend under our weight. I stood back for a moment. Might want to take stairs one of us at a time. Don't chicken out on him. Aaron was cut off by a loud crack as his foot went right through the frail porch step. I reached a hand out and caught his arm, keeping him from putting his entire leg through. He let out a low whistle and straightened himself up. Shit, thanks. As we reached the door, both of us hesitated. I put out a hand, nudging it open slowly before another hard wind blew by, slamming it the rest of the way open. The long, yellow hallway was peeling off wallpaper like sunburnt skin, slowly tearing off the walls as the breeze came in. It looked ominous enough outside, but the inside was a strange, liminal space locked in time. You know, the cuckoo clock and wallpaper make for a really great haunt aesthetic, Aaron wisecracked. All I could do was roll my eyes. It was already getting dark outside, and in here was even more shadowy. I pulled out my phone and turned on the flashlight. The yellow wallpaper was even more dingy in the light, with smudges all over and the occasional graffiti. Someone attempted a pentagram near the end of the hall, but made it sideways and one side was bigger than the other. Pitiful what the state of satanic graffiti has come to. So where's the basement? I spoke as we ventured into the hallway, both looking back to see Danielle waiting for us on the sidewalk. When I turned back to the long hallway, I froze. Aaron, yeah, he turned too, freezing when he did. We both saw a massive, tall figure standing around the corner at the end of the hall, barely peeking around. I wouldn't have been able to tell if not for the shine in the eyes, almost like when headlights catch an animal late at night. Holy shit. We both ran, bolting out of the front door and down the steps toward Danielle. Aaron just narrowly avoided going through the step again as Danielle stared at the two of us, puzzled. That was fast. She gave a snarky comment as Aaron and I looked at each other. You saw it? I asked, to which he nodded. There's no way we could have imagined it. Those eyes were staring us down from around the corner, studying us. There was something in there. Please, you two are just messing with me. Probably came up with this while you were standing there. She rolled her eyes, hugging toward the porch. No, really. There was something around the corner of the hall. It was staring at us, Aaron said, pleading with her not to go in. Seriously? We should just go. Nope. I'm going to show you both that you're wimps. Danielle was holding her head high as she walked up the steps and right in. We could see her phone light click on from the sidewalk, watching as it swept the area. Wrong. Nothing here. We know what we saw, Donnie. Aaron was yelling again. Suddenly a scream cut the air, and Danielle's light disappeared through the entryway. God damn it. We both ran back up the steps and in, switching flashlights on again and looking around. I raised my voice as much as I dared to. Danielle, the thing at the end of the hall wasn't there anymore, with the peeling wallpaper in its place. We kept walking, slowly as we tried to find her. There was only one door to pass on our way through, and the small room inside was mostly an inky black, with a single, final ray of sunshine coming through a cracked window. It almost looked like it was falling on a person in the corner, but when I shined my phone light over it, there was just a chair. I almost smacked myself for falling for the obvious haunted house cliche, but my heart was pounding hard enough to justify it. "Donnie," Aaron shouted again, louder than I did. We reached the end of the small hallway, hesitating a moment before peeking around the corner. "Are you the shit?" Something flew at Aaron from around the corner with a scream, taking him back against the wall. I jumped back, trying to avoid whatever it was as laughter suddenly cut the air. "Damn it, Donnie," Aaron was shouting now, leaning back against the wall, peeling wallpaper curling over his shoulders like fingers. She was standing back in the hallway, holding a mask on a little mannequin head, eyes glowing green in our flashlight glare. "The hell is that? Guessing this is what scared the crap out of you too." She was still laughing, holding her new head up high. Now we could see it was just a mask propped on a stick basically, with a huge wad of tape near the bottom that must have been holding it on the wall. "I've gotta say, it's not a bad idea. You're the worst sister on earth," Aaron muttered at her, turning to head back toward the front door. I thought you were going to the basement," she teased him. I could only roll my eyes, not able to take any of their sibling pissing matches seriously. "I'm going. Can we please just go home?" Aaron was groaning, turning back to his sister. She tossed aside the mannequin head, leaning back against the wall, crossing her arms, and staring down at her brother. "Guess you're just not brave enough. I could mention to Kelsey Berry how you screamed when a mask flew at you," she threatened. Aaron turned red, rolling his eyes and looking up at the sky in exasperation. "Fine. Where the hell is it?" he asked. Danielle just shrugged her shoulders, trying to push herself off the wall she was leaning on. The wallpaper still looked like it was curling around her, peeling off the walls. She tried again, making a larger effort to get further from the wall, pushing hard. Aaron just shook his head again, moving toward her. "Seriously? Don't you think you're playing your cards too close together? I'm not screwing around." She was sounding a little frantic, still trying to push herself off the walls. Now the wallpaper was sticking to her, like it was pulling her back in, looking more and more like cruel, jagged fingers trying to take her. "It won't let me go. Aaron, help." Aaron grabbed one of her arms, trying to tug her off the wall. No good. He looked back at me and I grabbed her other arm. Now it was like we were playing a tug of war, us versus the house with Danielle on the line. We lost. I don't know if I saw the wallpaper suddenly yank her into the wall, but I swear for just a moment it looked like dozens of hands came out to grab her. She let out part of a scream before it was cut off abruptly, with no echo hanging in the still air. Aaron and I felt ourselves hit the wall hard as her hands left ours, bringing us into collision with the wallpaper. "Where did she go?" He looked at me, the dim lights from our phones highlighting the fear in his eyes from below. "We have to find her. Where did she go? She couldn't just be gone, right? Like that's not possible." "Hey, chill the hell out. We're gonna find her. She's got to be around here somewhere. Maybe she just fell through. Is there a rip in the wallpaper?" I started feeling along the wall, trying to see if it pressed inward at any point, but only hitting solid wood and drywall. "Aaron," her voice echoed faintly from deeper inside the house. We both turned, flashing our lights down the hallway, this one leading off to branching stairs. "Donnie, where are you?" he shouted back, the two of us rushing to the stairwell. "Aaron," she yelled again, still not responding. Her voice was coming from the second set of stairs though, leading down. "Guess we found the basement," he says, hurrying down the stairs toward a small door. Aaron slammed through it fast, almost collapsing on the concrete on the other side. "Danielle," I was right after him bursting through the door, stopping as I saw what was in the room. Danielle wasn't there. At least, I don't think she was. Maybe she was somewhere in the mess. How long had all this been down here? "Those aren't bloodstains," I said, looking over to Aaron. He was still on the ground, frozen in fear at the sight before us. There was a massive pit in the middle of the concrete floor, shadows from our flashlights playing off the side as Aaron slowly inched toward it. Around it were what looked like corpses, but not fresh or preserved. They were bloodied, like the corpses you see in movies after getting dunked in an acid bath. Eyes were hanging loose from some while others were screaming silently with mouths wide open. I wasn't sure if they were real or not, but the way they shone in the light wasn't promising. "Aaron, what is this?" "Aaron," Danielle's voice, but more faint. It was coming from the pit though, and Aaron looked back at me like he was expecting me to look in. I shook my head, eyes wide. He took a deep breath, slowly picking himself up and shining his light toward the pit, inching over to it. Her voice rang out again, fainter now. "Aaron." "Donnie," he shouted back, getting closer to the edge. Are you in there? I could hear another sound now. It was more faint, but it was coming from the pit, just like hers. The sound was rising though, getting louder. I could hear a shrill, piercing whistle at first before finally it became clear. In the circle of gory corpses, a massive pit was now emitting the sounds of hundreds of screams, if not thousands or millions. They were all screams of agony, pain, suffering, all in one dissonant harmony with each other. Ice stabbed through my chest before I was able to move. Aaron was moving closer to the pit, ignoring the screaming and shouting louder against it for his sister. Donnie, are you down there? We can get you out. He was screaming again, trying to make himself heard above the noise. The screams became overwhelming now, and I swear some of them were coming from the bodies around the pit. Aaron got as close as he could to the gap between him, like it was an entrance to the hold in the ground. Do you see her? I shouted to him, the screams starting to hurt my ears. He looked back at me, shaking his head in disappointment. Danielle, we're going to call someone to come help. He was cut off again. All I could see was a brief bit of movement before the corpses close to him suddenly sprang to life. They grabbed onto him, the others circling around as their bones crunched, somehow cutting through the screams. Skin and guts sloughed off of their bones, some with intestines hanging out. Aaron's screams joined the discord of others, joining as the bodies converged on him, lifting him above their heads with rotting arms. Help, help. He was trying to fight against it but just couldn't get free. I heard him scream for help one more time before he disappeared, the bodies tossing him over the edge before turning back to me, starting to make an advance. My flashlight was shining in their faces, showing their eyes, not lifeless, but burning with the flames of torture, hatred, and suffering that's only felt after being the target of so much of it. I snapped out of my frozen state then, turning tail and running through the basement door behind me. I went up the stairs 2 at a time, hoping to God I didn't trip before making it up. As soon as I did, I almost drifted through the hallway, turning toward the escape. The last turn was in sight with rays of sunshine floating through it from the dying evening sun. I could turn the corner and see it right there. Run. Just run, damn it. As I passed the doorway from earlier, a hand darted out of it, grabbing onto me by my coat collar. I pulled, not able to get out of the grip it had on me. Finally, I had the briefest moment of bright thinking, turning around quickly to see the corpses beginning to shamble around the corner behind me. I slipped my coat off, seeing the mottled skin on the hand that still had it grasped tight. Finally free, I ran like hell. Don't think I've ever been as grateful to eat sidewalk, but busting my nose open and falling off that front porch almost made me cry from joy. Whatever the hell was in there, I was out. Looking back toward the door, it was totally shut now, with a rental lockbox over the doorknob that definitely hadn't been there before. I looked up toward one of the windows, trying to see if there was anything different about the house or if Aaron and Danielle were just playing a prank from somewhere. Instead, I saw both of them in the upstairs window. They were both smiling down at me, faces twisted. They both put bloody palms on the window, leaving prints on the glass. I could just barely make it out in the dimming light, but their eyes stuck with me. No pupils, no irises, just solid white eyes like they were rolled back in their heads. Both just stood, staring down at me while seeing nothing at all. All I could do was run away, run until my breath was ragged, stinging my broken nose. They still haven't found either Aaron or Donnie. I told my parents as soon as I saw my mother, blubbering out what happened and probably sounding mad. She called the police, I think more to calm me down than anything. When cops finally went in the house, they said it was stripped bare for renovations. No wallpaper, no pit, just bare walls and torn out electrical. Said they were going to contact the current owners, but otherwise there wasn't anything else they could do, not even declare them missing until after 3 days. I don't know if they're really missing. I still see them when I close my eyes, smiling with vacant stares from white eyes. I can hear the screams still, smell the sulfurous fumes and burning flesh. They want me to come back.